das am Gang?
Schon? Oh.
Den Abend feiern wir all. Kommunioun. Wir essen, was wir wollen gehen.
WOLFKIN, or in its original title, Kommunioun. No, I don't know why it has such a B-grade movie title. It seriously makes the film sound like some sort of gory monster movie when, no, not at all. This movie is a metaphor for generational trauma, so yeah, I didn't choose the title. Anyway, it's been a crazy week. Sorry about that. I was sick, so I didn't really get to the theater at all, but hey, I got my PMP certification, so congrats to me for that. I feel really proud about that. Woo! But anyway, I didn't see anything too interesting, so off to Shudder I go. After seeing some meager entries that seemed like good ideas, but we're getting middling reviews, so probably good ideas and just poor execution, I found this film. Of course, the name intrigued me. Who doesn't like werewolf movies? The story seemed a little meh, but the reviews were saying that it was very well shot with solid acting and a fun exploration of generational issues. So why not? Werewolves are indeed ripe for metaphor exploration, so yeah, I decided to check it out. I came out pleasantly surprised, but sadly wanting a lot more. But as usual, I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me get into the whole explanation of this film and then the breakdown of what works and what doesn't. So, what is this movie even about? WOLFKIN, or Kommunioun, as it is known in Brussels, comes to us from Brussels. It is in French. The story follows a single mother named Elaine, struggling with her young son Martin, who seems to be acting out at school and biting other kids. Unable to figure out a cause or having the ability to prevent the issue before the school starts to suspend Martin, Elaine decides to take him to visit his paternal grandparents, who don't seem to know what happened to the boy's father, or him and Elaine's existence for that matter. Elaine then makes a horrifying discovery about the family that Martin seems to be joining. Dun dun dun. So yeah, there's a decent setup for a mystery here. Kind of, if the English title didn't give it away and the synopsis involving werewolves didn't clue you in enough as to what the secret is. It's not too much of a mystery, we all know what's gonna happen, but the mystery is why. I guess you could call it a spoiler, but it's detailed in everything from the trailers to the title that I don't think it really counts. It does help to a certain mystery over how the werewolfism thing actually works, or the lycanthropy of the family or something, why they need to have like these weird injections or something. It's very weird. Interesting though. But that mystery really kept me engaged for the most part. I really wanted to know what happened to Martin's father. His fate is kind of left open to interpretation for the most part. Again, we do kind of get an answer, although it's never anything concrete. So it's fairly decent, if not an obvious mystery there, and the same goes for the metaphor. Unfortunately, the film really tries to make itself be about generational trauma and how parents need to decide to either keep up with tradition or embrace other cultures to an extent, or to let their children grow naturally into whoever or whatever they are quote unquote supposed to be. There's also some other commentary surrounding typical patriarchal systems and how women are used in them or just seen as different and lesser than men. That really didn't interest me all that much. It's not a bad metaphor to explore, but it didn't go full in, something like Handmaid's Tale does. But the metaphors in this honestly just feel half explored. They're set up well, and they lend themselves really well to the werewolf aspect and wanting to find your roots and embrace other culture and maybe religion and things like that, but it never dives fully enough into it. It kind of just skims over the surface and gives you like, yep, this is what we're going to do, we're gonna talk about it, but then it never actually does. It just keeps hinting at it. And that's a problem with a lot of this movie. It just doesn't go nearly as far as it should in pretty much all of the places. It kind of just, again, rides on the surface and never dives down. It expects you to dive down in your own head and think about it, but come on, hold our hand a little bit. The history of this family desperately needed to be explored more, and certain characters feel terribly underutilized, like the family's maid, Carla, played by Miriam Muller. She's well acted and she's incredibly interesting and is shown to have a hidden backstory going on with her late in the story that I really wanted to find out more about, because she's kind of unique in a certain way, but nothing comes of it. They just kind of go, oh yeah, this is happening, bye, and don't bother to explain or show anything. That sucks. Honestly though, the film's biggest issue shows itself at the very end. The climax is horribly rushed. So much so that everything about the ending is just way too sudden, way too quick, and feels like the filmmakers just completely ran out of money, so they had to quickly put everything out there. The story feels unfinished. Mysteries and histories are left up to interpretation, and the overall ending and the moral is just way too abstract and too sudden to have any real impact. It's fine, it's an artsy ending that tries to justify the story and the deeper themes, but it ultimately just comes up short thanks to the writing, which, I hate to see that. That's really annoying. It's a real shame because otherwise, the film is pretty cool to look at. It's shot really nicely, has some great scenery, the house is really cool, and the acting from the adult leads is very strong. And even the semi-transformation scenes that are there are kind of fun. There's always at least one in a werewolf movie. I kind of wish there was more here, but they're still kind of fun, even if the practical effects look a little weird. But it's a low-budget werewolf movie. What do you expect? I'm not going to get all up in arms over that. I think that's just fine. There's even a trippy erotic dream sequence or two just to spice things up. So it's not a bad film to watch by any means. It's just lacking from a storytelling standpoint. The main actress playing Elaine, Louise Monteau, is a joy to see whenever she's on screen. For the most part, she portrays a struggling mother so well, except for maybe one shell shock sequence that just felt a little too out of place. But otherwise, she's a strong character. She just has that one moment where she's just kind of stunned for a couple of scenes in a row, and I feel that could have been pulled back just a little bit, just way too much. But otherwise, she's fiercely protective of her son, clearly has a loving demeanor for him, even as he continues to act up. Really good work there. The grandfather, Joseph, is played by Marco Lorenzini, and I really like his portrayal. He's this old man who clearly knows way more about what is going on than he's letting on, and seems genuinely excited to have Martin in the family. His frustrations late in the movie really needed to be explored more though, and I feel like there could have been some foreshadowing as to what happens with him later in the movie. Just a little more exploration into that would have been nice. There's definitely a lot about him I wanted to know much more about, but that we just don't get, so oh well. Unfortunately, the last person we have, the young Martin himself, played by Victor Dieu. Now, I can't really fault Victor for the role. It's not terrible. He's supposed to be 10 in this movie, and he does a decent enough job with what he's given, but it never feels believable to me. Especially when he has these weird mood swings from joining the family, but then suddenly wanting to do his own thing or go back to his real mother. It's very strange. There's another thing where he's constantly looking out into the woods and wanting to go there, but they never really explain why. That's another lack of explanation. And frankly, he's just kind of a dick. I'm supposed to root for this kid, and he's not really fun to root for at all. Maybe if they portrayed it up more like I'm having these impulses I can't really control, and it's bothering me, that could have been fun. You do get a couple of scenes like that, but for the most part, it's either one extreme or the other, and I'm sorry, that's just not fun. I don't like that. He's just never really seems as conflicted as his character should be feeling. He's always 100% one way until he switches on a dime. I don't know if that's from the writing or his performance exactly, but it's severely lacking, so ugh. Everyone else does a good job with what they're given at least. I just want more. This film actually had 3 screenwriters attached to it for some reason, including the director Jacques Molitor. The more I think about it, the more I'm pretty sure that they just ran out of budget and had to speed the climax along with how fast it goes from extremes. I don't know, so I don't blame Molitor too much for that, although some of the direction could have been a bit more subtle. Honestly, this is a rough movie, all things considered. It's a fine watch until that climax, and then the film might as well have just given up. It's just a poor ending by any standard that the film really doesn't deserve. It was building up at least some tension, and all of it's just gone. If I were to improve the film, I'd rewrite that ending. I'd give it a longer climax. Maybe I'd even lengthen the film by 15, even 30 minutes. It's just under an hour and a half, so it can stand to be a little longer. Like I said, it's not a bad movie to watch. It looks nice. It's just a little more simple, story-wise, than I would have liked personally. So I would increase the length. I would have more time with the mystery surrounding this family and slow things down to better match the movie's overall pace. It's just way too fast at the end there. I'd also change the title. Probably both the English and the French titles. I'm sorry, Wolfkin sounds way too cheesy and evokes more of a monster movie than what this film actually is. And it also kind of gives away the plot a little bit. Maybe something a bit more abstract, like, I don't know, right off the top of my head, Heritage. How's that? That's a punchy single word title that also has to deal with this movie and isn't too much like Hereditary. Sure, Heritage, that works. The French title Kommunioun is better, and communion is a theme in the film, but I'll be honest and say that I don't really understand the thematic relevance there. Maybe because it involves eating the body and blood of Christ, and werewolves or maybe cannibalism does that? I'm not too sure, but it still sounds cheesy. I don't know. What would you guys rename this film? Let me know down below. So after all that, do I recommend this film? Kind of. It's nothing special and has some major flaws, but it's not bad or egregious in any sense of the word. It's not unique, but it's inoffensive. It has some fun visuals here and there, and at least tries to be deeper than your typical family drama or werewolf film, and it has good acting for the most part, so I'd say consider it a very tentative recommendation. You honestly could do a lot worse, and it could be fun to think up ways to improve the film. So ultimately, Wolfkin gets a 5 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. Sorry for the gap in the week, I was sick. You guys didn't want to hear me cough into the mic. That would have been fun, right? But anyway, so yeah, I saw this. I think I'm finally getting back to theaters this week. We got a lot of bangers coming out these next few weeks. I know Sinners is out this week. Next week is Until Dawn, which I'm very curious about. It seems like a good idea for a film. I just don't know why it's called Until Dawn like the video game when it has really nothing to do with the game, but okay, whatever. I like the concept and the practical effects look fun. After that, we have Thunderbolts, the Marvel movie I'm actually looking forward to. And I honestly haven't looked further than that, but I'm sure there's plenty of interesting stuff popping up. So finally, we start to get into the groove of movies here. I'm excited. What are you guys excited for? Did you see this movie? Do you like werewolf movies? Let me know in the comments below. After that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video, watch my shorts. I need more views on those so I can get monetized. I'm so close. I just need that. Anyway, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo, the fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost song, and I'm just a ghost in your stereo.